Test. Nope. Wrong. Right. Test. Hey guys, I'm Matt Lighty. This video is about using conditional modifiers for explicit values in your filter to help you use provisioning WombGifts at the Genesis tree. Wow, what a sentence. Unrelated. Look at this guy's little butt. I don't know if he'll move right. Maybe I can get him to move the way I want to. You can see his little butt. Hold on. Show me a little butt. Oh, don't be shy. Oh, you can see part of it. Look at his little butt. All right. Anyway, so with the tree, people are making really good rare gear using provisioning scarabs, the equipment item womb tree section, right? Provisioning is one that makes gear. Typically, crafting weapons is a large part of that. But how do you know what's good or what matters? That's a question some people have. And to remove a level of thought from that process, what you could do is use conditional modifiers. So I have an example in my filter. If you're using never sinks, whatever the fuck, it might be different. But all it is a set of HasExplicit modifier rate limits for the different tiers that kind of make it so you will always know if you get something worth even looking at. So it removes that element of, oh, I don't know if this is good, maybe it's not, whatever. The will they, won't they's. And the entire thought process is you're taking the tier 1 to 2 rolls of all of the valuable caster modifiers, and you could propagate the same ideology for physical rolls, i.e. flaring for tier 1 flat. You can do merciless for tier 1% and then do tier 2% as tyrannical, emperors and dictators for hybrid. You have it so anytime any 3 of those things show up in any concourse plus tier 1 attack speed, tier 1 crit rate, it always shows. Same ideas for the caster one. So you have any of the tier 1 or 2 phys roll, spell damage rolls like runic or glyphic. Those are things you want to have. So you have those in the explicit modifier set. You do the same thing for gems. You do the same thing for added flat to spell, same thing for cast speed, same thing for mana, flat mana, maybe even mana regen. You could do of Nirvana. So if we wanted to do mana regen on top of this, right? Because mana regen at tier 1 is also fine. You add that to the list. So anytime any wand or scepter, caster one hands are going to have these. You can also do dagger if you're, maybe using daggers. Anything that has those sort of things, then you're going to show them. Let's just make sure the filter's synced. So the last one is 1238 on the mark. And let's do this updating. We're stuck in 59 land. Okay, our filter's updated for a new conditional modifier. So now when we use the Genesis tree, we're going to craft a thing. And you'll notice that nothing is showing. If I hold Alt, it is showing items, but nothing is showing here because they do not have enough modifiers to trigger on my filter. So here's an example of a demon horn. You can see, yes, it has the tier 1 spell crit, but everything else is low rolls. Now, if you could curtail this to your likeness, but if you were to starting out in the league, this is something fine. But at this point in the league, it's not really good enough for me, nor does it have tier 1s that I care about for recombinating. That's why it didn't show up. Let's do another. Nothing again showing, so it looks like nothing we're making. Just going to go through it manually to show you nothing is highlighting that is important. Make another. Okay, so we have things. That means these things, at the very least, have triggered on our filter in some way. One of these just simply isn't the one. We'll put it aside, but that is tier 1 fractured stat, which is why it showed up. So this is flagged in our filter. Why? Okay, because it has tier 1 spell crit, and it has the fire roll. Alright, so it has tier 1 spell crit plus the fire roll. Now, 2 out of 3 isn't enough for it to flag in my filter. Unfortunately, electrocuting, whether it's the caster roll or the attack roll, is just called electrocuting. So you can see here, we have what would be electrocuting as a flat caster roll is the tier 1 electrocuting. If we looked for the local adds to lightning, tier 1 vaporizing is the tier 1, electrocuting is the tier 2. So there's no way to know which one is which. They're both just called electrocuting. That one seems to just get through. Look at this next one here. We have cremating tier 1, okay? And then it has tier 1 crit multi, tier 1 crit rate. That's why this one flagged, because this has 3 good mods. and it has open prefix for spell damage, so you could craft spell damage on this, and this is a pretty comparable weapon. So that one worked out pretty well. This one is just, unfortunately, because it's hitting on the flat attack roll, isn't going to display properly. We have a Convoking Wand that has Fractured +1 fire spells, and it also happens to have Tier 1 Lightning, Tier 1 spell damage, you know, that sort of stuff. So this one is obviously flagging for a reason. Unfortunately, it's on the wrong base, which is a bit annoying, but this is, interesting to see nonetheless. You can start to see how the ones we're looking at, there's a reason they're being shown, because they have relevant stuff. Here's +1 cold with Tier 1 spell crit, and it has Tier 2 cast speed, so that's why it flagged for there. This one is Tier 1 spell crit with the Tier 1 hybrid, Tier 1 flat to cold, so that's a good one. And it's on a Profane, which is a better base. So you can kind of see why that one's being shown as well. This one's actually pretty nice in general. But yeah, this is a way you could use the conditional modifiers from the provisioning, plus the shown explicit to at least make it so you don't have to look through so much chaff, because you're going to get some fractures, but since we can't really use fractures with recombinators anymore in a really nice way, we're looking for things like less like this on that sort of base, and more, this had cold, this had all, we could slap them together and you can make something nice. But it's a fun way of using the provisioning with the conditional modifiers to at least remove some of the annoyance of, let me look, is this good, is this good, is this good, than you would normally be doing. So you could spare yourself from that mania. Anyway, that's the entire way I've been doing it. I have the same thing set up for Fizz and armor items, and you could do the same. You just have it so you show things to the tolerance level you like on your filters. For armor, for example, it'll be like Tier 1% rolls in armor or evasion, whatever, plus the Tier 1 flat, plus the life, every res roll, every stat roll, and say only show things that have 3 or more of these. Boom. Then you'll get your conditional modifier, so you can at least say, oh, this is worth picking up because, this is worth picking up, obviously because, and save yourself some of the annoyance of having to look through items. So that's it. That's how I've been using those for at least parsing through the tree crafts. Let me know what you guys are doing in life right now. And look at this guy's little butt and be a happy little camper. Okay, say goodbye, little butt. Goodbye.